Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Get ready for an expanding episode today as we talk about 5D New Earth and how we can truly live it, embody it, and be it. My guest today is Quantum Access founder Meg Benedicte, who literally is on a mission to shift humanity into the 5D. I'm so pleased to bring Meg back to Quantum Conversations. Meg, thank you and welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Loren, for having me. I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm excited to dive into all this new Earth information, so thank you again for having me.
Yes, this is always such a pleasure. We're going to have a very cool activation at the end of our call today so people can experience this work that we're going to talk about here. We also welcome our listeners to send in their questions, and we may have a time for a few questions for those who are on the phone. Meg, we are here in such an energetic time. And there has been a shift going on even in the past 6 months, and more than that. I mean, it's a continual thing. We've seen the Schumann resonance spike up, and I would like your take on this because it's not really certain what's going on, but people are feeling it.
Definitely. Well, you know, I began to notice this kind of accelerated shift happening since December 21st, 2012. So on that day, for many of you who were really conscious that day and present, the what we call the time matrix or the enslavement matrix, which is it's a virtual simulation that's running in the collective field, it lost its power. It lost its control. It's beginning to break apart. So 5 years it's spent. It's breaking apart, or 4.5 years, and it is losing its power, losing its steam. This is what created the veils that have blocked our intuitive mind and being able to know all that we are. And since that date, things have picked up speed because our whole solar system has moved into a photon band located at the galactic center of our Milky Way galaxy. And so it's affecting us in so many ways, be it on a conscious level, on an energetic level, on a spiritual level. It's affecting the planet as well. It's even affecting the solar activity. And we're getting blasted with this gamma photon light. Comes in. It's think of it like you're surrounded in it. So it's pulsing, very present with us, but at times we'll get these big blasts. And I always see them come in on the equinox and the solstices. It also comes in certain portal dates, like we have one coming up on the 8/8 Lionsgate, big blast coming on that time. And so every time we get one of these big infusions, think of it kind of like it's blowing open your circuits. And it's doing that the same way to the planetary energy body. So the planet's getting these blasts. I think that's when we see some of this activity spiking in the Schumann resonance, because it's measuring the frequencies of the broadcast of the planet. But I also think we're getting energy, plasma energy, that we are not accustomed to, you know, and this could be where, as we were talking earlier, Loren, we may not even have technology to measure it yet. We may not be able to determine what it's actually doing to the planet and what it's doing to our own biofields, our own electromagnetic fields, because it is definitely affecting it. So some of the ways, you know, okay, it's increasing our frequency, so you may be feeling like you're sensing the contrast between density, which is what we've been in, physical density, particle density, and then we're moving into more electrical current running through our bodies, and so that this can cause a lot of symptoms, and it can, you know, change a lot of things, but it's all positive. It's all accelerated evolution happening within our own genetic code, our DNA. Also, it's helping us dissolve those veils or barriers between the physical particle world and the non-physical spiritual world. So everything is starting to shift in ways we haven't lived in before. So we're in like a new frontier here with this, and it's exciting and kind of unnerving and exhausting, and but you know, it's happening and we can't stop it. And so the best thing we can do is actually learn about it and actively, consciously work with it so that we're like on the cutting edge of it. We're riding this wave, and we're increasing our energy frequency, and we're blowing open our circuitry, and we're living on more and more on light, and we're able to start to access higher dimensions and knowledge in those dimensions, and we're able to change the molecular structure of our physical body. I mean, that's what keeps me going. It's so exciting to see what's starting to open up now that is available to us.
Well, let's share on your personal experience of this fifth dimensional embodiment, let's say, as you're accessing higher dimensions and the information there. What is that like? What is it like to reach into and to understand and know when we're actually accessing beyond the veil?
Okay. Okay, so how I see it and experience it as a alternate field that exists on the planet. So we have a three-dimensional field that we were all born into, and it's very dense and isolating. It separates us from our soul. And then because the planet's getting all these, you know, accelerated evolutionary blasts, the planet is opening up her circuitry, her field, to this fifth dimensional field. So this is now, for many of us, I started accessing about 2006, and so for many of us, we've been playing with it and using literally our bodies as anchor points to anchor it down into the planetary grid, be very present and available for everyone. So how do we get into it? First, it's not something that we access through our left brain or thinking mind. It's a feeling field, so our heart center is the portal into the fifth dimensional field. And so that requires, you know, healing of any wounding in the heart, any past life wounding, any karmic energy there in the heart. The heart needs to be dealt with. The heart needs to be healed, and all of that stored traumatic emotional energy needs to get acknowledged and cleared and released, so that the heart is this beautiful pulsing open stargate portal to that fifth dimensional field. So that's the first thing that changes everything. Instead of living in a world that's controlled by the ego and the mind, we're moving into a holographic reality that is accessed by the heart. So it's a heart-centered field, and it is it's pulsing in unity consciousness as opposed to polarity in the three-dimensional field. So it's a non-polarized field. That means that the energies there are harmonious. So this is where we begin to eliminate, you know, competition and judgment and attack, and we start to coexist together in harmony and more empathy and community oriented. So it's a very different lifestyle, and because it's in the fifth dimension, it is ruled by integrity. So everyone is learning how to live in integrity. So what we see and what we feel and what we think and how we behave and actions, this is all in integrity with the truth of our divine self, our soul presence, instead of it being controlled by the ego, which is actually very self-serving. We're now moving into heart-centered, soul-driven, more service to the greater good. And so people's priorities shift. I found once I started getting into it, I stopped having really much interest with what was happening in the material world, any drive or you know, compelling desires to consume and have material things, that just kind of dissipated out and dissolved away. So the priorities start shifting more to connection as opposed to physical items. So again, we're kind of moving away from being physically dominated, ego dominated, mind dominated. We start to want to feel more connection, and it's not just connection with each other, but it's connection with the universe, with nature, with the planet, with the stars, with the spiritual world. All of that becomes more of your driving force and your priority. And I found I wasn't as dominated either by like emotional reactions or negative thoughts, because it's such a non-polarized field that you stay more in that kind of equilibrium. You're just in this kind of a flow, and a very calm flow through the day, almost like you're in a living meditation. That's really what it feels like. It's just very smooth and flowing because you don't have that push-pull of the polarized forces. Everything is just like your body surfing. You're just riding that wave, and it's smooth. And it also helps us connect the mind and matter connection, which we lost in the 3D field. So this is where we're going to get more and more adept at altering our material world and reality through what we visualize and what we intend and what we focus on. So it's a very beautiful reality, and more souls are starting to enter into it. I swear when I first got into it, I looked around and there's like nobody there. I'm like, uh-oh, what did I just do? But now more and more people are getting in it, and in the beginning stage, you tend to kind of pop back and forth between the 3D field and the 5D field as you're kind of getting acclimated to it and adjusting to it. So don't worry if that happens. That's very common. I was going through that as well. But eventually, as you continue to clear your density and your whole field, your whole body is getting at a higher vibration, because it is at a higher vibration. So you have to be able to hold space in it by having your whole ecosystem, in a sense, your whole energy field at the higher vibration. So that's a key point of being able to hold space and anchor it and live in it and make it basically your new world reality.
Yes, okay. And so we're going to talk here in a little bit about the new light and the plasma body of light and what might trip people up with that, because if we've got something that's a glitch anywhere in the body, that's going to hold that up. We're going to get to that in just a moment. I wanted to say, though, how do we, so when we're connected with the universe, with nature, the spiritual world, and we make that our priority, this is where our intuition really does get honed in a powerful way, and we trust it and we honor it a lot more. So is that really what we're doing when we're accessing these higher dimensions with information? We're really having to trust the information that we're getting. What do you do to get yourself in that state to receive information or be aware of that information available to you?
Well, it comes back to connection. So we need to develop and build our inner connection to the soul presence literally in the body. We have to embody that soul presence. And because we were in a polarized state in the 3D field, it was pushing the soul out of the body and into the aura. And so we felt this disconnection, and we were like, and it's hard to trust something that you can't feel or see or connect to. So bringing the soul in is key. We have to be able to embody it. So we also need to then create kind of an environment inside that's non-polarized, so the soul can stay inside the heart center and the chakra pillar. And then you begin to develop an awareness of who your divine self is. That's the only way I could even find out who I was, is like meditating and turning inwards and going, okay, hi soul, you're here. Let me get to know you, and you begin to tune in and feel what your soul vibration is. You start to get familiar with it, and you're starting to, in a sense, test what's showing up in your outer reality to see if it matches or if it resonates or it's coherent with your soul vibration, with your soul essence. And so this is a new way to discern that I don't think we've had before, is literally running the energy and see how it resonates with the soul presence inside. So one of the things that I was guided by the higher self to do in the early stage was I kept getting shown that our chakra pillar, our chakra antennas, literally work like an antenna tower. Think of it almost like your whole chakra pillar is going up the body and above the head, and it's your human radio antenna tower. Each of those chakras have like antennas, and that's your empath system. And we've all been trained in the 3D field to point all our antennas outwards horizontally. And that's not been good for us, because it means then we are empathing all the exterior energies around us, especially in the fourth dimensional astral plane, which is where the battle's going on between light and dark, and we're just ingesting all that into ourselves as we're pointing all our antennas out. So they said, my higher self and my spirit team said, all right, you need to stop doing that. Start pointing all your antennas inwards and lock it on the soul light stream like a radio station. Just imagine like you're just dialing onto your own soul frequency. That's your personal radio station. And that way then you're building that bond. You're building that connection to your divine self inside. You're able to then start to hear more clearly what the soul is telling you, all the guidance coming in, the information coming, because you've now dialed right onto your own soul light frequency that's coming in, which is all the communication coming in. So it's learning how to work with your own energy field in a way that will enhance your ability to really have that intuitive communication network set up with the higher self, with the soul presence. And that helped tremendously. And also, by pointing and holding my focus inwards, my antennas inwards onto the soul presence, it prevented all that external distraction, right? And all that external just like disinformation and confusion and even false guidance, right? And all it just started clearing all that out of my mind and my empathing system, so you get really clear. And so if you're asking for support, you're asking for guidance from your higher self, just kind of point inwards, tune into the heart where the soul is trying to fill in inside there. Ask your question, and don't point outwards, especially the ego tries to point horizontally outwards because it's very outer directed. So we're training our mind, training ourselves to not let the ego control our focus, and you hold and just lock that focus into the soul inside, and that develops this real clean, clear communication back and forth and discernment of what is best for you, what matches you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for explaining that. It really is vital at these times to really go inward and make this deep connection. And you've done it. You show us how. It's how we get clear and free from external distraction. And we have just been, we're talking about this before we started our show, that even in our spiritual community, there are some things that are intentionally meant to distract us, to distract our attention away from this incredible heart-centeredness, 5D vibration, living in neutralizing polarity, right, and duality, and rising into these higher frequencies and creating new earth. So I think that's beautiful. Really building this bond within ourselves is how we do it. And you had mentioned there's a battle between light and dark going on in the astral plane. And we're going to move on off of this, but I just watched the movie Doctor Strange, and that's exactly what was going on in that movie. They were having a battle on the astral plane. Can you share a little bit about this? And not to be fearful in any way, I'm certain that solutions on what we can do to stay protected on this?
Yes, yes. So as I've been going through my ascension process, I kept getting either personally experiencing negative shadow, demonic presence in the astral plane, or working with clients and seeing how they were getting interfered with it. So it raised my awareness to it. Up to that point, I wasn't really even focusing on any of that, but I began to watch it over the years through it trying to oppose my progress or interfere with clients, and I realized we have, you know, several entity types of presence in this astral plane. They're non-physical, but they're in time. So the fourth dimension is time and space, time and distance, and this is what causes separation, is the fourth dimension of time. So they're actually very adept at traveling through time, and they've come to this planet, 'cause of course it's this lush, beautiful planet, and trying to control it and take it over. And this has been occurring for thousands of years. This is one of the reasons why many of us have been invited or called to come here and anchor the light, to start to kind of unravel these dark systems and help the planet build a light quotient that's beyond the range of the 4D astral plane of the shadow forces. And so there's lots of names for them. They can, you know, you can call them the archons, you can call them lost souls or demonics, but they have been given the opportunity during this planetary ascension to choose light if they chose. We're in a free will zone. Every sovereign being on this planet has the option to choose the light, and many have actually at this time, which is amazing to see. And I've encountered some of them and have worked with some of them, but others haven't. And so what's happening is this shift from the third-dimensional Earth to the five-dimensional Earth is also shifting these lower astral beings or entities away and into either different planes of existence or different star systems. So I've been seeing a lot of migration happening on the astral plane, especially what we would call the reptilian races who have come here from the Orion belt. I don't see too many of them anymore. I still see archons, and I still see them interfering with a lot of the political leaders and those who are in power, but their power is also diminishing, and the light is replacing where they were controlling. So this is, again, kind of as the planet gets blasted with galactic light and we get blasted with galactic light, this shift is shifting the power on the planet, and that's what I think everyone is really focused on right now and excited to see that shift happen, where those who have been, in a sense, enslaving humanity through a lot of corruption and dark forces, they're losing their power right now. And I'm just really curious to see how this all unfolds, but it isn't, we're in the process of it. This year is quite volatile because of it, and I'm getting from this year to 2020, we're just going to see so much change and shifts happening. And so that's why where we focus is so important, focusing on the whole planet moving into 5D and humanity moving into 5D, and really building a world that's, you know, filled with heart-centered love and harmony. Focus on that, because that's getting into the collective field and it's influencing our future.
Absolutely. No matter what, this is our biggest task of the hour, of the moment, is to keep our vision on New Earth. I know certainly there are things and days where we somehow get a piece of the news and we wonder, oh my goodness, what is going on now? But I know that we can turn that, right? We can literally turn that and say, that's not my reality, or that's changing, because you had mentioned this integrity rules the fifth dimension.
Yes.
And so anything that is not of integrity, it's going to go away, right? What do you have to say about this notion of to Earth? You spoke a little bit of this, that there's different dimensional planes and places. So will there be like a 3D Earth and a 5D Earth, or we're all here together?
You know, I think it's a little tricky for the left brain to to comprehend it because it only knows the physical world, but they are different Earth realities, but it's more on a holographic level. If you can kind of look at the universe, it's a holographic universe. So this is in kind of the non-virtual particle field where everything is like slices of potential realities and almost like flashing movie sets, you know, oh, it could be this, it could be this, and it's constantly shifting, and it's responding to us. So the more that we focus on what it is we want, then that 5D Earth starts to get more materialized for all of us to be able to access, and the 3D Earth isn't something we're even anchoring to or grounding to. It's, again, it's the left brain can't do this. The right brain is your intuitive, multidimensional brain, and with the right brain you're able to see, okay, I'm just going to choose to ground onto the 5D Earth grid and make that my home base and start living in those energies, and then that becomes my home, and that's how the world starts to form around you. So they think of them as that, yes, there's multiple Earths, but they're all holographic Earths in the quantum field of all that is. So it's not like you have to kind of get in a starship and travel to the 5D Earth. It's more where you're using the power of your quantum mind to select and access and anchor and live in that 5D Earth, and that's when the shifts start to happen.
Okay, beautiful. We know our role and our responsibility. Before we get to talking about the plasma light body, timelines and collapsing timelines, merging timelines, splitting timelines, this is a hot topic. What do you want to say about timelines?
Okay, so similar to what I just mentioned about the multiple Earths, there's also multiple timelines. And so I'll start on the personal level, and then we'll get more towards the global level. But on the personal level in your own energy field, it was shown to me by my higher self that they call it the incarnational wheel. So think of it like get an image in your mind of like a wagon wheel. So the main center hub of the wheel is your timeless, eternal oversoul, all that you are. And then all those spokes in the wheels are the different timelines, and they could be parallel. Well, they basically are all parallel, but they could be operating in different time realities. So we're here in 2017. That's one of those spokes of the wheel. That's a timeline, but you could have past lives 1,000 years ago, or Atlantis, or even, beyond Earth. And so all of those timelines exist until they're complete, they're resolved. And so that's part of what's happening right now is we're going through a karmic resolution of any unresolved energies in those different timelines, learning how to neutralize those, reap whatever are the lessons there, the benefits, and then each of those spokes start to drop out of your aura and return to source, to the point where we'll just take all aspects of ourselves from all those timelines back into the hub with the soul, and we become whole again, multidimensional. It's all that our soul has existed in the universe will be there, present. So that's how I'm experiencing it on my personal evolution. And then we're also, the planet has multiple timelines, of course. So what's happening is, so what you just mentioned about merging timelines or collapsing timelines, that's starting to happen. That could be where, like, a whole civilization, let's talk maybe like as an example, the Roman civilization, that timeline finished and collapsed and it dropped out. Atlantis was another one. Lemuria was another one. These timelines were either forced to end or completed and released. So we're seeing this happening right now, right? The majority of us are not happy with the timeline we've been living in on this planet. And so with our conscious focus, our conscious choice, this is when we're saying, okay, I'm going to finish with the third dimensional timeline, and I'm shifting over to the 5D timeline. And then within that major planetary timeline, you have, of course, all these kind of multiple mini timelines, which would be like all of our separate incarnations. Those are timelines. So one of the things that I was guided to do is kind of view them like you're at a rail, like a train station. You see all these railroad tracks. All those tracks are potential timelines that you can select and jump onto. And I've jumped timelines, my personal timelines, multiple times through the life, and they're literally new realities. When you lift off one track and go onto a new one, everything can change. You may even move into a different area, new friends, new work, everything starts to take on the energies of that new timeline. So one of the things that they've been having me do, and I would recommend to everybody, if I can remember it when we do the activation, is select to locate yourself onto your ascension timeline. Get on your 5D ascension timeline. That's what you're coded to do. It's in your blueprint. It's part of your plan. And when you begin to anchor yourself and ground onto your ascension timeline, that's your path of light taking you home to your original star system or your soul group. So that would be a conscious choice we're making to use that ascension timeline as our foundation that we're grounding onto the planet and reaping all of the opportunities and the benefits that are programmed into that ascension timeline in our current life.
Okay, it's fascinating, and I know there's questions out there about jumping timelines, but you really said it all when you said just get yourself to the 5D ascension timeline. That really is the goal.
Yeah.
Any other, how did you jump timelines? Is it just simply here in this now present moment through the heart center?
Yeah, it usually would get instigated by the soul, so it felt, again, I'm pointed inwards and locked on the soul, and I'm feeling like, ooh, something new is coming in. Okay, I could start to feel the energy before it showed up yet. So for an example, in 2012, I began to feel like, ooh, I think I'm moving. I was in Los Angeles, had lived there my whole life, and I was starting to feel the new timeline come in that my soul was going to have me jump onto, and it was to move to Mount Shasta, which is a radical shift. I didn't even know anybody there, so it was a big jump. But the soul did initiate it, so that would be something if you're feeling like, I think my timeline I'm on is done and it's kind of flat and dead. Start asking your soul, your higher self, to begin to initiate the new timeline according to your blueprint, which is going to take you more and more into your ascension. So that would be my suggestion. That's how it worked for me. I felt the shift coming before I actually got onto it. But then once I got onto it, it took me some time to just keep grounding my feet chakras. The feet chakras work like magnets. You can just lock it onto the new timeline and make that, your new home base in a sense on the planet and get accustomed to it. And I've had a few more come since then, and since 2012. So I think they might be coming faster now that everything is kind of speeding up. And so I keep hearing from my soul, kind of be light on your feet and be flexible and be ready to, pack and move if you have to.
Yes, that's a good one. Okay, be ready to to turn on a dime at a moment's notice, and really to be open to shift and be willing to accept that little shift. And I love how you felt it coming. I think many of us listening to this program today are really feeling something. And lately, hasn't it been fascinating to see how our community is so interconnected? I think just so far, this is Wednesday, and just so far this week I've seen how at least our spiritual community is so interconnected. And that personally for me has just been fascinating. But this is really what's going on, and we can feel these shifts when we tune in that way.
I think that's true, and if we're all consciously choosing to ground onto our ascension timeline in the fifth dimensional Earth, then it's forming this new community, like you said, and so we're all starting to get to know each other, and our paths are crossing more, and we're beginning to form a kind of a network around the planet, but especially here, in the America, it's growing, and I certainly don't feel like I'm all alone in the 5D anymore. It's wonderful to be able to have, in a sense, you're finding your tribe. This is the light worker tribe that came here for this the particular purpose. So it's very exciting to have that build.
Very exciting. And one of my big things is New Earth 5D business. Right now, we still need to use the currency on this planet, but it's our energy with that magnetizes it for us and supports us when we live in a 5D way from that heart center. So I've got some questions here that I'd like to get to, but as far as a New Earth 5D business, any comments on that?
Well, I think you touched on it, where we are accessing the 5D field with our soul alive in the heart center. And so even what we're producing in the world as far as our business, it's heart-centered, it's soul-driven, and so we're building an income. As long as we have currency, we're creating an income. That will probably change, but for now, we're beginning to earn an income from our soul gifts instead of, just going, and doing kind of the enslavement program in the corporate world or however it's been. So we're moving into more of being able to not only fulfill our soul gifts, but be able to sustain us financially with our soul gifts. And I think that's a very 5D phenomenon, and it is starting to also encourage more new 5D businesses that are really focused on, sustainable environment and climate change, and really honoring equality for all. And so it's a whole new awareness in business now that we don't see in the 3D corporate world at all. And I'm just so encouraged as I'm seeing, new inventions, new technology, and new businesses are growing, and they are more service oriented and really focused on the greater good, especially with their employees and their clients, their customers. So, whoa, was that a huge shift as well? I want to see that spread. I want to see that go into our, if we're going to have any kind of government, I want to see it go there. We just want to see this spread because it's been so lopsided and out of balance and corrupt and destructive. So this is, again, anywhere, and people even say, well, as long as we have currency, where should I invest? Invest in 5D businesses. Let's get them going. Let's support them. Even if you're not giving them money, volunteer or join or somehow help wherever you're drawn. Of course, it's heart center. Yeah.
Yes, it's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing on that. I was just talking with someone today who really is building a community where, like, lots of us can live in a 5D community. And this is popping up in a number of venues, and a lot of groups have this idea. So it really is so fun to watch. And every single one, every person who's listening to this has their own individual role in this 5D New Earth and what we do. So it's beautiful, and I want to remind people who are not there yet not to beat yourself up, but to envision it and to dream big and just to be in the heart and do it. Okay, thank you for sharing on that New Earth business, 5D business. It's awesome. As we move into our discussion about the plasma body of light, we have been seeing, many people have been taking photographs lately and seeing, if you take a photograph of the sun, we don't know if that's a lens light, but there's a little dot and like an arc of violet. Sometimes people take images of colorful shapes or beings of light in the photographs. What do you think these are, Meg? What or who are they, and what does it mean for us when we see them in our photos? Carolyn asks, is this part of the 5D frequency and the thinning of the veils?
Yes, it's definitely a result of the thinning of the veils and this controlling matrix bubble that we've been living in, that's getting thinner and breaking apart. That I can see like big pockets that are missing the matrix bubble now around the planet. So things are really opening up. So like you said, they're starting to show up in the photos. You know, plasma is so interesting because it's basically called the fourth state, because you know we're familiar with the three states of matter: solid, fluid, and gas. But they're claiming the plasma is the fourth state of matter. But it's so interesting because it can actually move between energy and matter. It's made of really tiny charged particles, invisible particles. They actually move in clouds. So that could be part of what you're picking up in those pictures. Some examples of a plasma field is like a lightning storm. If you've ever been in a lightning storm, for me, the energy gets really thick and electrical. You know, it's very charged, and it's an electrical conduit. So this is, again, where we want to start activating and turning on, kind of flipping the switch on our own bioplasma field. It's, you know, not only is it exist in lightning storms, but it's in the interior of the sun and stars, and so we're trying to become, in a sense, a star ourselves, right? We're trying to turn on our own light body, and the plasma is a key point to this. It's like when you combine our standing light grids, because that's kind of the infrastructure, and the bioplasma field, this is what holds you together, right? And it nurtures you with life force energy. It's also our communication network to the higher planes, to the higher dimensions. And it's shaped, so to kind of get an idea, even though it is invisible to the physical eye, but on the subtle body, or the energy body, it's shaped like the torus. If you're familiar with the toroid bubble that surrounds the body, it's kind of like a donut shape, and the center of it's right there at your heart center. That's your portal to the torus. We turn it on by neutralizing polarity. We create a 0-point void in the center at the heart, because this is where matter and antimatter merge to create the new realities. And so this is very important to work with, you know, building your 0-point void. It's a vacuum state in the center of your core. And what happens is, as the soul fills in, right, what does a vacuum want to do? It wants to fill. So as you create this non-polarized vacuum state in the core heart, it pulls the soul in. It's filling with more soul light, soul presence. And the soul begins this standing scalar wave pulse there at the heart. And so this is creating a force field of your soul consciousness and your soul code, your soul essence. It's creating a force field of the soul presence inside you. This is really part of the more advanced stage of the ascension, and as we're learning how to do this and opening up, I see the plasma field is like moving between our physical body and our energy body, and it begins to create a cohesion there, and a flow, and an integration, and an interaction, and that's what we want turned on. And so one of the activations that just came through on the solstice a week or so ago was to open up the mini stargates that exist along our axiotonal meridian energy body. And so think of it kind of like if you've ever gone to acupuncture, and you know wherever the meridians cross, they create a little mini vortex spin point. Well, in a sense, those are also like stargate portals. They've all been locked down and full of density, and so we haven't been able to feel anything or see anything or sense anything. That's been part of what this matrix simulation has done. It shut that all down. So what's happening is it's beginning to turn on, and you're opening up these portals between the physical body of matter and this energy body, and the plasma is flowing back and forth through it, and it's this electrification of matter creates new renewal. It's new, you know, it's like it's regenerating us, and it's building new healthy cells and new vitality and reversing aging. And so this is, again, all beginning to turn on, and it's where we're starting to shift from being dependent on physical energy like food or emotions, and we're shifting into feeding ourselves now more of electrical current, of light, and the plasma just loves that light, and it's a conduit for it. So it's helping us begin this weaving between the physical body of matter and then the energy body of light. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, that bioplasma field is a key point in that integration and turning it on.
Well, we are going to experience an activation with you on that. That's very cool. I know many are looking forward to that, to experiencing what that is. So let's take a moment and have you talk about your special offer, because when we go into this activation, we're going to want to leave everyone in that state for high vibrations. So
Yes.
Share your special offer. It's for those who really want to do this work and move forward with it.
Yeah, so I put together a package of the technique that I've been doing for the past 20 years. It's called quantum access, and I have brought this through from my higher self. I work very closely with Archangel Metatron and use his sacred geometry, Metatron's cube, to activate the quantum vortex, and I'll walk you through the steps to do that as we in a little bit. But what this is it's like a home program that you can then really dive into. It's made up of MP3 recorded meditation activations that you can work with on your own, and then also written material that goes more into the quantum physics of it and how you can convert that over to metaphysics. So the first activation is how to even get this all started, how to work with the quantum vortex, how to use Metatron's cube to get it up and running. And then I have 2 healing meditations that run about 30-40 minutes. One is called the 3 stages of transformation, which takes you through break down, break through, and break free. We all have to go through these stages to get out of the 3D matrix and into the 5D field. And so this is a really very it's intense, and you dive in and you go for it. And it's a very powerful healing meditation that will help you break free of anything that you feel or you're stuck in or holding on to. And then the second one is called the still point power. I was just mentioning how we need to create that 0 point neutrality in our heart, in our core, to be non-polarized so that we can access the 5D field. So this is a recorded activation you can work with anytime, because you're training yourself to stay in that stillness, that non-polarized energy. It's zero gravity, and it's still, and it's what keeps your heart open to 5D and higher. So that those are the downloads for just, you can do them daily. Then I put together some training as well, and so this is it's a lot of information. You'll learn a lot, and you'll be able to work with these there's 5 modules. You'll be able to work with the 5 activations. The first one is this module 1. Just diving into what is this ascension process, how to increase your energy frequency, establish coherence, move into the now. Module 2 is how to get grounded, selecting where you're going to anchor, what grid you're going to get onto, how to activate your soul stargate, working with the 12 chakra crystal pillar. And the module 3 is how to break free of the matrix, simulation of time, clear your field of duality, remove the death code of 666. How to repair this left-right brain. The matrix has separated them. We need to bring them together and really turn on that right brain and begin to establish that null zone vacuum state of singularity in your core. Module 4 is how to work with the counterforce of fallen consciousness. We mentioned this earlier. A lot of people get nabbed with it. I mean, it's been, for me, over the last 20 years, it's been pretty intense. So since 2012, it's been like constant. I had to really dig in and get anywhere there was any openings in my field, get yourself contained, remove any external portals, wormholes, or cords, feeder lines, clear up that pineal and third eye of all the veils, and disentangle from the fallen matrix. It's a big thing we all have to do to get free into the 5D. And then the final module is, again, working with this Taurus we just mentioned, working with your right brain. That's what you activate to your intuition. Become this open receiver. You know, you're this human antenna tower. Become an open receiver. Learn how to channel to your higher self, to spirit, and learn how to manifest with your Taurus in the quantum field. So there's so much here that will give you a foundation of what you can work on your own and really accelerate into living in the 5D field. And you can't do this too often. I mean, I work with this technique daily, and it has changed my entire reality. And being able to live as your soul, I mean, that is just bliss. So I really wanted to put together a package that could offer that for you. And we're only offering it for $97, so it's a great deal, and it will take you quite far if you decide to go into it.
Yes, we've heard from so many folks who've gone through your program that it's really powerful and profound, and it is the real deal. How long does it take for someone to go through these modules? What would you recommend as far as integration of each of those modules?
You know, when I've taught this online, we would do a module 1 a week. I found that could be even a little quick. But that could be kind of a standard to start with. But if you find after a week you're still working with the first one, I would just follow kind of your own pace of what you feel you need. If you feel like, okay, I integrated all that, I'm ready for the next one, then jump into the next one. But I think we also have to kind of circle back to some of this, because it's kind of like peeling the onion. You know, you're getting these top layers off, but then something that you thought was completed, it can show up in a different form or energy, and you're like, oh, okay, I got a little bit more of that, and you kind of cycle back and clear some more. So don't feel like somehow it didn't work, or you made a mistake and somehow it's back. It's really, things keep just kind of like oil on water. It just, stuff keeps surfacing. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I still get some stuff surface up, and you're like, well, look at that. Okay, we got a little emotion on that one, you know, or a little memory on that one that still needs to come out of the body. So you might find that you go through the 5 modules in 5 weeks, but that you might find that you're circling back on some of it.
Yes, circling back on some of it, and I love it because it really does build our own awareness of, gosh, that old fallen matrix and so many of the belief systems and, right, the false programming. It is good, and it's allowing us to release that, seriously getting into the 5D. Well, we've got many people with their hands up. We only have time for one caller, because I want to give us time to do that beautiful activation. Let's go to Dallas, Texas, and our web caller, it's, I believe it's pronounced Carr. Hello, you're unmuted.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Hi. Question for Meg.
Yes.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. It's very interesting listening to everything you have to say. I am a healer myself, and noticing a lot of the changes happening, and also it just seems that every time I try to progress, there's something or other that I can't move forward through it. And I do work on the high.
It could be coming in as counterforce, so you might be having astral interference trying to stop your progress. I get that pretty regularly. So I found it in several ways. It could be astral interference. It could also be that there might be some programming running from the ancestral lineage that is either sabotaging you or is preventing you from blowing open into the next level. Could be operating almost kind of like energy ceilings or walls, you know, that you're trying to push through and it's holding. So the source could be coming in from several ways. It could also be from people around you who don't want you to progress because they'll feel they might lose you, you know, you'll move on and leave them in the dust. And so you have to kind of tune in to where you're feeling that restriction. It could even be the ego is resisting the changes because it doesn't like change, and so it wants to hold everything in status quo. So look at all those kind of areas and see where you're getting a charge, where you're getting some reaction that will tell you the origin of it. And then when you are able to dial in, so let's say it is ego resistance, what I do with the ego is an interesting shadow consciousness from the matrix, so it's really not our friend. And I had to make peace with the ego and tell it I'm going to take it with me, it's going to ascend with me, but it has to actually come into the light with me. And so whenever I feel any of that fear or control or resistance coming from the ego self, I just lock my focus on it and bring it into the light that I'm streaming in from source, and continuing to dissolve its shadow element. And it has really worked. It's really helped. I don't encounter it nearly as much as I used to. The mind has gotten a lot quieter and calmer. So that would be some areas to look at and see where it's, in particular in your case, that you're hitting up against the wall there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's very helpful.
Okay, wonderful.
Cool. All right, well, thank you. Wow, Meg, we could listen to you talk so much. I know you do a lot of teachings, and that's all in your programs, all of this information and so much more. Such a deep, confident connection that we have right now today. It really is inspiring, and it's actually, what is the word? It brings in optimism. It really does.
Good.
Beautiful. Yes. Okay. Well, now would be a beautiful time to go into our activation. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, so when we're working in this way, I encourage everyone to get more focused into the right brain. That's your intuitive brain that you use to visualize and to sense and to access beyond the physical world. If you find that as we're going through the steps, you kind of keep getting pulled over to that left brain and the ego, and it's trying to stop everything, just breathe and focus back over to the right brain and get more of your intuitive self, because it's all coming in through that right brain. It's not going to happen through the left brain. So that would be my first suggestion. As I walk you through the steps, I'm going to connect to you remotely, so I'll be helping you. That's why even the replays are so great, because everything is coded into the recording, so you can use this anytime. The activations are good at any time that you work with it. If you find that you kind of zone out as we're working, the activations are still happening. It's just that you have gone into a higher state, a higher dimensional access, and that left brain, the thinking mind, it can't go there. It only exists in the 3D. So that's when I still trance out. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I still can trance out and just go into the higher planes, and the soul is working with you even if you're not actually conscious of it. Okay, so to get started, let's get grounded, because anytime that I open up the vortex around people, I want to make sure that you're in your body. This works the best when you're in your heart, in your core there in the body, and your feet are, locked onto the light grid. So our feet chakras will work like magnets. So again, use that right brain. You're going to visualize. If you can sit with your feet on the floor, we're going to lock the feet chakras, feet magnets, onto our 5D crystal light grid. I do this every day. When I get up in the morning, ground onto the 5D grid. So it's a choice we make. This is made of ley lines of light and the flower of life formation all around the planet, on the surface of the planet, and it's of diamond white light. It's source light running through that grid. So imagine your feet and the chakras spinning there are locking right onto the light meridians. As you start to breathe into your core, into your heart, so we're coming down from the thinking mind and we get more into the body. Just breathing into the heart, We're going to connect with Spirit. From the heart, we connect to Mother, Father, Source, Creator. From the heart, we connect to your Oversoul presence. This is your original God spark, your I Am. And then also connect to your soul family. And then let's call in your spirit team of angels and guides and master teachers for their support as well. As we set up the sacred space, we're grounding onto Gaia's crystal light grid. Let's connect to Mother Nature. Nature kingdoms, the nature spirits, the devas. We'll bring in the elementals. These are the elements of air, fire, water, earth, and ether. Just breathe it in. And now we're going to work with Archangel Metatron, and he steps in and he's going to embed under your feet there in your grounding Metatron's cube. So this is the sacred geometry made up of an outer circles of 6 circles, an inner circle of 6 circles, and a center 13th circle. So imagine you're stepping into the center, and the outer 12 circles are around your body, and they're at your feet, and they're going to rise up as pillars of light. And they're humming like tuning forks to the sound of Om. And they begin to rotate right to left in a counterclockwise spin around the body. And there we go. Let's get it spinning up faster and faster towards the speed of light. Because it's a counterclockwise spin, this is a feminine spin. We are moving more into embracing the return of the feminine power. The counterclockwise spin is a feminine spin. The clockwise spin of time is a masculine spin. So we're reversing against time and unlocking gravity as we spin really fast. There we go. Opening up to the energy body. Now let's focus into the chakra pillar. This is your channel up to spirit. So we're going inwards again. Focus all your antennas, your chakra antennas inwards, and we're going to start spiraling from the feet to the root chakra, and then all the way up the physical chakras, still going counterclockwise, up past the crown. Ooh, there we go, and up into the 5 astral chakras above the head. There's 12 total, 7 in the body, 5 above. And as we get up to the top 12th chakra, you're in a 12 chakra pillar. It's at least 6 feet above your head. You're going up. And up at the top is where we connect up to our higher self. Our higher self is our guardian, our gatekeeper of our chakra pillar. So make a connection with your higher self. It could just be heart to heart, however you feel. Making a bond. It's a beautiful light being. You're a gatekeeper. Okay, good. Everybody's starting to connect. And now we're going to go through that 12th gate with the higher self and step into the field of light of the Godheads. This is the virtual particle field of electrons. It's a field of golden light. And it's very alive. It's like sunlight on water. It's shimmering and dancing and vibrant. Ooh, there we go. So you're letting go of the particle field, moving into the field of light, and just imagine you're becoming like waves of light, liquid light. You're just relaxing in and blending in and merging in to the quantum field of light of all that is, all possibilities, all potential, all parallel realities. So there we go. Everyone's starting to merge in. There's no barriers here. There's no separation. We're able to become one with all of existence, with our abundant universe, with the beautiful spiritual world. And it's in this phase here that we're going to connect to the soul presence where it exists in all timelines and dimensions and planes of existence. And you're going to use your unique energy signature, soul signature, that is your soul frequency, your soul vibration, to connect up to where your soul exists in the universe. And we're going to use the vortex and start spinning the soul presence back down the chakra pillar. Imagine you're in this crystal pillar and we just breathe it down and in, still spinning right to left, counterclockwise, but now coming down into the body, breathing in your soul light, your soul's love, your soul's power. Your power is your light. You're breathing in your soul wisdom and knowledge of the ages. your soul mastery and gifts and purpose. Ooh, there we go. It's starting to come down and in. It's coming in as a stream of golden light and your soul sound waves, your frequency. Just breathe it into the brain center, breathe it into the heart center, breathe it into your chakra pillar. Whew, all the way down and in. And it's building and growing and filling, especially in that heart center. That's building like a big golden sun in the chest. Good, good. Breathing in your soul pulse and rhythm. Okay, so now we're going to let that keep streaming in, and our goal here is to neutralize polarity. We want to set up that 0 point, so we're going to use the infinity figure 8 to do it. We're going to start first there between heart and solar plexus in the upper belly. The figure 8 is inside you. We'll start at center, loop around the feminine energy on the left, back to center, over to the masculine energy on the right, back to center. So you're starting to weave this figure 8 of light back and forth, left, right, right, left. What it's doing is it's starting to pull all your energy towards the center fulcrum point where it can really blend and unite and balance each other and harmonize. Ooh, there we go. Okay, everyone's starting to come into the center. It's also helping us start to release any opposition, counterforce, negative polarity. So here we go. It's just using your vortex to spin that up and out of the physical body and emotional body. The energy in your emotions. So physical body and emotions up and out. Whew. There we go. The vortex will spin it up to source light to be transmuted to light. Oh, good, good job. Okay, let's add the second infinity in the mental body between the left and right brain. We want to unite them and use them simultaneously as one united mind. And so we're going to loop around the left brain over to the right brain and start to unite them and harmonize them. And there we go. Releasing out opposition, counterforce, negative polarity out of the mental body. And we spin that back to source. So we're starting to clear out. And you can make a command. I want to clear out all energy that does not match my soul signature. Does not originate from my God self. We're starting to clear this field. There's been a lot of interference in the field. We want to also clear polarity out of the field. So what's happening in the center fulcrum point of your infinities in the heart and the brain is it's starting to create what we call the 0 point void. It's a vacuum state of non-polarity. It's a null zone, a neutral zone. There's no gravity, there's no movement. It's still, it's calm, but it's potent with life force in the quantum field. So we're just tuning into that stillness, that calm. You're in your crystal pillar of light. You're grounding onto the 5D crystal light grid. Imagine we're all like crystal pillars located all around the planet, and we're vibrating and humming in our soul's vibration and in love and in harmony together. This is how we uplift the entire planet together into higher frequencies, higher dimensions, higher vibrations. Okay, beautiful. Okay, everyone's doing great here. All right, so we're in this balanced stillness. So let's focus inwards to your body's internal meridian system. This is like the whole acupuncture meridian biocircuitry inside you. And we want to begin to open up the stargate portals that exist at the spin points of your axiotonal lines, your meridian biocircuitry. So let's call in this beautiful galactic light, this divine light. You're an open channel all the way up to the universe, so it's going to come down your chakra pillar. So let's call it in. Imagine you're like under a waterfall of it. It's crystal diamond source light, and we flow it down and through the chakra pillar. We're flowing it down through the axiotonal lines, through the organs. So it's just like you're getting a purification flow all the way down through you. Breathe it in, spin it in, call it in. There we go. Now we're getting a good surge. And envision all those internal Stargate portals starting to burst open with diamond crystal light. Whew, there we go. Blasting them open, especially if they've been really dense and sludgy. We're starting to blast them open. And spin away the sludge, spin away the density out of your Stargate portals in the body. Spin away the veils. Whew, there goes more. Spin it up to source. Just breathe into it a moment. I want everyone to feel they are turning on their light body. They are activating the internal portals between the physical body and the energy body. And you're filling in and feeding your ecosystem with this divine light, crystal light, galactic light, Christ light. Let it pool in your heart. We're starting to amp up with it in the neural network, in the biocircuits. It's starting to flow up from the grid, up your legs, down from your higher self, and they meet at your heart center. Your Taurus is bringing in the energy, bringing in the life force. Let that heart fill and expand. It can even go beyond the edge of your body. It's like a big cosmic heart starting to amp up with light. Breathe into it, spin it in, call it in. You're just kind of stretching your capacity to hold more light. Okay, as we're turning on this light body, now let's envision your bioplasma field. So this is it's a very vitalized field that's flowing between your physical body and your energy body. It's holding you together. As we opened up the internal stargates, we can actually start to feel the presence of the soul plasma field. So make a moment here. Let's say the command. I now open and step into my soul's plasma field. And just breathe into it. It's highly conductive for your soul light to flow between the particles of matter and non-matter in your energy body. Whew, it's good. Just allow that to pulse alive. The vortex is spinning very fast. And as we open up the gates and flow that plasma energy through your whole aura and into your biocircuits and meridians and into the chakras, into the organs, the heart center, the brain center, you're beginning to develop your light body Merkabas. Keep commanding it to turn it on. You're coded for this. Your blueprint's activating for this. Good, we just amped up some more. And it's enabling your ability to live on light. It's bringing that light into the cells, starting to code the cells from carbon-based to crystalline. So you can metabolize the light into your physical cells, into the atoms in your cells. The atoms are little mini Tauruses spinning, bringing the light into the DNA in the cells. So everything's starting to get turned on, switched on, activated. And your feet are still grounding onto the 5D earth grid. So you're holding steady and grounding it within. We're also anchoring and grounding in your antenna tower and your antennas, your chakra antennas turned inwards onto that soul light stream coming in. Just like you're dialing right onto your own radio station and you're locking onto your soul vibration, your soul frequency, your soul signature. There you go, right onto the light language coming down from the higher self and into the brain, third eye, into the heart. Just lock in all your focus inwards onto it to develop clear communication. Whew, good. That's locking in now, grounding in. And as we're this human antenna tower, we're this open receiver. It's like you're in this tube and just bringing all the support from the abundant universe down and into your body, down and into your heart, and then into the magnetic fields that wrap around your heart. So let's just pause for a minute. We're pulling down and in. You're working with your energy vertically, connecting to the Godhead, connecting to the abundant universe, and calling down and in all that you need to support your soul purpose, your soul's joy, your soul's work, your mission. Call it in. Breathe it in. It's coming in as light. It's coming in as energy right now. And then you just focus it into the heart center where it can hold and overlap with the magnetic fields. Ooh, there we go. All the way in. Pulling in your soul support. And so, in this sacred space of connection, of union, of oneness, let's set our intention to anchor onto your ascension timeline. And so your soul frequency will pull you to it. Your soul codes and blueprint will help you get onto it. So we'll just start it now, set the intention, set the command to begin to anchor your feet, anchor your energy field, anchor your plasma light body onto your ascension timeline, your path of light home to your star system, to your origin, to your soul family. Ooh, that's good. And the feet magnets are locking onto it, grounding onto it. So let's use the vortexal spin really accelerated. Grounding onto this new home base, our ascension timeline, grounding in and anchoring in all this support coming in, grounding in and anchoring this beautiful soul presence, divine presence in the heart, in the body, and grounding into your activated plasma light body. Spin it in, ground it in, anchor it in. So you're pulling all the energies deep inside you into the physical body, into the cells, into the atoms in the cells. At the molecular level, pull it deep in. Merge with it. Unite with it. We're uniting the physical body and the energy body as one. The soul and the human is one. Right onto your ascension timeline. Whew, that's good. As it grounds in, anchors in. I want to thank the Spirit for all their support here, and you can continue to do this activation as often as you feel drawn to. And we set our intention to continue to accelerate our accelerated ascension, and we set that in motion now. And so it is. And that completes our activation. So it is.
We are feeling that. That is so intense and beautiful and magical. And I know this is going to stick with us. Thank you for leaving us in this high vibratory state.
Oh, my pleasure.
Oh, well, as we say goodbye then today, Meg, any closing comments for our listeners?
I think, it's sticking with me and what we were discussing about how important it is to focus on what it is you want to create, both for yourself and for the planet. It is very influential. It is such an impact. We don't really realize it, but as you continue to integrate like this and merge with your divine self, you can really influence the future. So I would leave everybody with that, with feeling your empowerment in your ability to really be a part of what we're creating here in our new Earth, in our 5D Earth. it takes a village, and we all need to come together and do it. So I think that's a great place to leave everybody, is just be in the realm of intuition and imagination, and you are literally the physical anchor for this. You are the crystal pillar on the planetary grid to pull this in and set this course going forward into amazingly new world of our 5D Earth. So I'll leave you with that.
And with that, it is a gorgeous visualization. We are all feeling that. Meg Benedicte, you are a master teacher on Ascension, and we thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Loren, for having me. It's always a pleasure to join you and all of your listeners. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, so thank you again.
Well, thank you. We look forward to coming back on our show. Blessings. Namaste.
Blessings. Namaste.
Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this program, please share it with your friends and loved ones. And we thank you for shining your magnificent light and adding it to the world. This is when we love ourselves like no one else can. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music, available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.